The one and only multiverse presents a grand unified theory. Universe, cosmos, multiverse, existence. Michelson Morley experiment. 1887. The ether of space. Dark matter space. Polarized space and primal space. Web page and video are not AI generated. Your host, Richard E. Noer. It was well known at this period of time that sound was the result of wave energy and that it needed air, a medium, to propagate. So it was theorized if light were also wave energy it would also need a medium. The only problem was, light traveled right through an alleged, perfect vacuum but sound didn't. So, there must be a much smaller undetectable medium for light waves. They would call this medium, the ether of space. In TM, it is known as the Universal Dark Matter Particle Sea. UDMPS. Next, to validate their hypothesis, Michelson and Morley created an ingenious system of mirrors in mathematics to analyze the wave patterns of light. It is called an interferometer. They would make light speed measurements at different periods in the Earth's orbit, using the Sun as a light source. The idea was to observe differing changes in the speed of light as Earth traveled around the Sun. This would mean that the Earth was traveling in an ether of space. There was a big problem. No matter where they made the measurements or how many times they repeated the experiment, the readings were the same. The speed of light remained constant. After years of trying and going over and over the validity of mathematics, it was conceded that there was no ether, and space was a vacuum. This was a catastrophic moment for physics and a significant change in thinking. The science community decided to throw out all logic and reason, in favor of what appeared to be observable science and mathematics. In my opinion, a big mistake that would waste years of research. This brings us to the present. Now with new knowledge about light, light speed, and dark matter properties, their choice of interferometry has to be revisited. The results Michelson and Morley were looking for would be more evident if they used a spectrometer. All they would have to do is analyze the redshift of vibrating hydrogen atoms, and relate it to the Doppler effect. Unfortunately, this complexity of understanding was not available at that period of time. There was another big problem that they were unaware of. The medium distance and density from the Sun and Earth really does change the speed of light, but it's so tiny the interferometer they were using didn't have enough sensitivity. Because the universe is so vast, the changing speed of light is only detectable at great distances. Now that we know that the speed of light really does change, the question remains, how does it travel through a vacuum? Can a vacuum affect the speed of light? The answer is simple. No. The observation that light can travel through a vacuum of space is misleading. This is because the vacuum that everybody was using to evaluate this experiment was not a true vacuum. It was a vacuum of air, but not a vacuum of polarized space. The space inside a vacuum chamber has a polarized, magnetic medium of dark matter particles. Therefore light waves can pass right through from particle to particle and go on its merry way, no problem. Now, here is the dramatic conclusion. Light would not be able to travel through a spatial nothing. In this hypothetical space, there is no air and no universal particles, no gravity, no magnetism, and no medium. Nothing is not a spatial existence, therefore, light, magnetic waves and gravity would not, and cannot exist. An empty medium of nothing, or a vacuum of space does not exist. TM 1. The density of the dark matter medium, C, can increase and decrease the speed of light, but it is so gradual you need vast distances to observe it. 2. The concept of a spatial void of universal particles could not pass light, gravity, heat, or polarized magnetism. 3. A vast expanse of nothing cannot exist. This is because an expanse has height, width, and depth with spatial energy. The nothing of space would not have a physical existence of material and spatial magnetism. This is because nothing is nothing. An expanse of nothing is a play on words, and is pure gibberish. Michelson and Morley were definitely on the right track, and could have changed the course of science as we know it, but alas, it was not to be. I think if it was not for the wrong conclusion of their experiment, we would be far more advanced in our understanding of the cosmos, multiverse. The speed and propagation of light, gravity, anti-gravity and magnetic waves would have been far more discoverable. The sensitivity of their equipment to detect the small changes in light speed, with the Sun as a source, would never have worked. Edwin Hubble. 1889–1953, age 64. Saul Perlmutter. 1959. The speed of light. Doppler effect. Anti-gravity and redshift. The Hubble constant. There seems to be some controversy about expanding, compacting space in the Hubble constant. It has become a dilemma. This is because there are different ways to calculate expanding space, and none of them agree. What is going on? Is there something wrong with the Standard Model, or is something wrong with Hubble's law? TM says it is both. We have dark matter to blame. Nobody has considered that all of space is composed of polarized dark matter particles that are extremely small, round, spinning and can shrink and expand. Also, the particles produce a north, south, pulling, pushing, compacting, expanding magnetic force. XCP dark energy. This simple idea has upset everything. Dark matter has become a medium for light, gravity, anti-gravity, dark energy, and a spatial magnetic force. Since we use light intensity and Doppler shift to establish distance in the cosmos, we must think about and understand the properties of these spinning particles. In the multiverse, light is a wave and presents streaming push-pull energy on these particles. That's how light transmits its energy through space. Looking through oceans of dark matter space at new, and old and galaxies that no longer exist. A Hubble Ultra Deep Field Cosmic Snapshot. Let's start with audible sound as a model. Sound transmits its energy in the same way as light, and the reason you can hear it is because it vibrates molecules of air, which in turn vibrates your eardrums. Sound can also travel through dark matter space, but this sound you can't hear. This is because dark matter sound wave streams pass right through your ears, and don't stimulate the auditory sensors. B. Everybody knows that sound can speed up or slow down with the density of air. This is a direct result of compression and elasticity of air molecules. Now, are you ready for this? Light has the same effect as sound, but uses dark matter particles for propagation. Oh no, was Einstein wrong? Is the speed of light and sound in space dependent on the density and elasticity of dark matter particles? The answer to both questions is yes. Now, let's think about measuring the speed of light. Billions of years ago, the local observable parts of the universe was more compact, or if you will, compressed because of a black star supernova. What happens to the speed of light in this distant compressed space? It is much faster. What about the Doppler effect? The Doppler effect is the same physical process that changes the frequency and speed of light, just like it changes the frequency and speed of sound. The only difference is their frequency and the medium. All this means, when you observe the redshift of light in parts of space, not only are you measuring the expanding or compacting distance, you are measuring the small, but certain, decreasing, increasing speed of light and its frequency. So, when you look at local distant stars and galaxies, the density of space at their previous now points has increased and so has the speed of light. This phenomena has created a conflict with the Hubble constant. TM predicts that light speed definitely increases or decreases with polarized density of dark matter. Consequently, the Hubble constant is not a constant, and needs to be readjusted. Encyclopedia 51 explains why light speed not only can increase or decrease with time, but the space that a local black star supernova created, billions of years ago, had a beginning with faster light speed. Conclusion: the speed of light is not a set value, it changes with the density of the medium. Sorry Einstein. Keep in mind that other parts of the expanse have different densities, therefore, in the expanding, compacting of an infinite, ever-changing multiverse, the speed of light and its changing frequencies is impossible to standardize. On the other hand, the absorption emission markers that light waves produce don't change. This is because spinning, vibrating nuclei of elements that create and interrupt light propagation have the same intervals throughout the universe, multiverse. I know, this has opened a can of worms, and the relativity of speed, distance, and the expansion evolution of the cosmos, multiverse has just become complicated. What we thought we knew has been tossed out the window and has presented much more work for the relevance of mathematics. Don't blame the multiverse, we are just the messengers. I'll bet that there is the variation in color and development of galaxies, because the Hubble constant is not a constant. There is definitive proof of density and the speed of light concept. Just look very carefully at the Hubble Deep Field observation. There seems to be inconsistencies with the color of galaxies, level of development and the spacing. The galaxy formation and redshift looks out of sync. The spacing is consistent with a denser cosmos, but the fully developed galaxies should have less redshift, and disorganized ones should have more, and be smaller. In many parts of the deep field this is not the case. I can't wait for the James Webb Telescope to supply us with more information. I hope everything goes as planned. TM needs just a few more answers, and no more problems to be complete. Update: New James Webb Telescope observations. The universe seems to be much older than the fixed speed of light predicts, which in turn adds credibility to TM's grand unified theory. We no longer support the singularity Big Bang. It is obvious that the universe is an ever-changing, evolving entity of existence. This is because it absolutely could not have ever collapsed into a single black hole, or expand out of existence. Existence is forever. Nothing, black holes and a vast expanse of empty space can't, and doesn't exist. Hubble Deep Field and James Webb Deep Field observations has observed billions of mature galaxies in a very small part of space. The differing transmission speeds of light is not enough to explain this profound observation. There is a solution, but nobody wants to hear it. This is because we all love Einstein, Fred Hoyle, and John Wheeler, but it must be said. Here it goes. The universe is not a single Big Bang, evolving, and ending entity. The only explanation that fits with all we know is, the universe and existence are the same physical presence. It is vast, ever-changing, expanding, compacting, with neighborhoods of matter and energy. It has different time zones because of black star supernovas. Black star supernovas are what creates a time stamp for the region. It does not have a beginning or end, it is a perpetual physical presence, and is in a constant state of evolution. There are never-ending black star Big Bangs, that evolve into new galaxies. These galaxies in turn, because of black star gravity, can and merge and collapse into a super black star, not a hole. Next, black stars that are surrounded by non-polarized space lose magnetic lock, and part of the multiverse gets a new pristine beginning. I know, this is going to cause a great deal of skepticism. It's just too simple. The unknown must be more complicated than that. TM says that criticism has no scientific proof. Billions of galaxies and never-ending black star supernovas do fit with all we know, and the Universal Encyclopedia's magnetism is compatible. There are no known conflicts. Galaxies are gravitationally bound and do not dissolve, they merge and are consumed on an evolving local time scale. Some of the newly observed galaxies from the Hubble Deep Field and James Webb Deep Field have already been recycled, but others have just started on their journeys. So, now you must compare this theory with the Standard Model. One has science, observations, relativity, evolution, mathematical plausibility, and logic on its side. The other theory does not. I think it is obvious which one has more probability. Please don't say that the grand unified theory is nonsense because the mathematics hasn't been calculated and confirmed yet. TM mathematics is not the defining authority because the singularity Big Bang of pure energy, the creation, evolving and demise of a single universe, black holes, and the vast expanse of empty space, also, has not been mathematically proven. The above image, a deep field cosmic snapshot, this picture brings us to one of the fantastic observation and discoveries of the Hubble telescope. Multiverse theory. In this deep field picture from Hubble, there are many, perhaps hundreds, maybe thousands of galaxies, that no longer exist, they have been recycled. Just like when you throw a rock into a pond of water, the rock disappears, but the waves, light waves, travel on. Your host, Richard E. Noer. Young me. Mini me. Email, noerastronomy@gmail.com. Here in a multiverse, our goal is to find the cosmic truth. No matter where, or how far it takes you. The universe truly does unify. If you get the basics right.